Alrighty, hello, good evening everybody, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are I suppose. Good evening from here in coastal California. And, oops, that's not supposed to be here. Oh, my music's not supposed to be here. This is what's supposed to be here. Holy cow, I'm not quite ready yet. Hello to Golden, hello to Andrea. You're saying I picked a hard one to draw tonight. Yeah, a little bit difficult. But, gosh, we have so many otters here, and they're adorable. You walk down by the waterfront, and there are a number of signs in different places saying, approach with caution, or please be quiet. There are baby otters here. Oh, they're adorable. They're so small. Michelle, hello. So in my never-ending quest to Alan, welcome. Where can I get that Holbein watercolor palette? This one over here. I got that one. I don't know where I got that one. I got that one on Amazon, maybe. This is not actually a Holbein watercolor palette. It does have the Holbein H on it, and it mimics their design. Their design actually has this, the Holbein official one actually has this slot on this side. This is from a company called Color Around, who make lightweight aluminum palettes like that. And I've got a number of their palettes. I think they're fantastic. Let's see. Sue says, hello, I love sea otters. I do too. They're adorable. Hello, Dawn from Colorado. Everybody, I hope everybody's good. I hope everybody's healthy. I hope everybody's safe. All right, let's just jump in with this. I have kind of I should say, I'm watching the screen up here. My color seems like it's going a little crazy. Andrea can vouch for me on this one. Last night I was doing a stream and over on Twitch, and all of a sudden everything just started going cuckoo bonkers, just absolutely crazy. This camera over here just started flickering and flickering. The main camera, I guess it's this one up here, went sideways and off and on. I don't know what was going on with it. It was crazy. I've taken everything apart, unplugged it, replugged it, rebooted, done everything I think I should be able to do to help keep it good. But I see the color's a little wonky, which is why I'm keeping my hands here to give the, boy, I got my watch on, to give the camera something to focus on. And so I basically have an idea on how I want to do this. And it's, as always, it's going to just be a matter of the execution of doing this. That's always the way it is. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. And I'm actually going to, you guys are all going to be, I'm going to leave this here so it has something to focus on before I move this. But I have pre-drawn this. You'll see that in just a second. You guys are going to be so proud of me. I'm going to pre-wet the paper before I do anything. All right, let me do this. Let me move my grayscale one over here. There are the otters that I have drawn. And I've got my largest mop brush here, and I've got my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm making a conscious effort. I'll just let you guys in on what my thought process is. I'm making a conscious effort to try to pre-wet the areas that I'm painting so that I have a little bit of extra time to play with the paint on the paper should I not like the way it goes down initially. So that's why I'm trying to pre-wet this. That does mean, I thought about taping this down. That does mean a little bit that I might get a little warpage on this paper, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. I will say this is Arches 140-pound paper. So it's good quality paper, but still we get it wet, and from time to time it will warp a little bit. I will tell you, I tried a little experiment, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Somebody had asked me about stretching my watercolor paper, and I said I don't typically stretch it. And then I thought, well, I've never really given it a fair shake, so maybe I should really try to stretch my paper a little bit and see how that goes. And I took a sheet this size and I followed the instructions of, not because I think she knows what she's talking about or anything, but just because I happened to, her video for that happened to come up in my video feed here on YouTube. But Louise DeMasi had a video on stretching watercolor paper, and I went, okay, I'm game. I'll give it a go. And it was a terrible experiment for me. I didn't like it. Have you used chamois instead of a napkin or to soak up? I should show you. I actually have a chamois right here that I tap down here on with my paintbrush to soak up water off of my brush, and it works great. It actually works a little better than a sponge, I think. But have I tried it on my paper here? Probably not. And not because I don't think there's any value in that. More that I think I've just got a whole roll of paper towels over here available to me. Ta-da! Right next to me, and I've always got those handy, so I think I just grabbed for those instead of anything else. And they're pretty cheap, so I don't worry about it too much. But this is good. We got questions coming in early. I'm enjoying that. Please, anybody else has any questions? If you have any questions, throw them out there. I will do my best to answer any questions that you have. I'm not being super careful here. Because, you know, you look at the reference photo of these otters, and the otters are quite a bit darker than their surroundings. So I'm going to try to hold true to that and paint the otters quite a bit darker than the water. So that means I don't have to be quite the slave to that edge that maybe I would normally try to. Maybe I can get away with a little bit more of, okay, so I know this is not the watercolor that's in that picture. I know that. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of, here's one. A whole bunch of paper towels here. And I said I wasn't going to worry, I don't know what that is, too much about this. And then this guy's going to have a white-ish head, or a light head up here, and I just got a big blue stain on it. Terry from Montana. Welcome, Terry. Welcome, welcome. Glad you can make it. All right, there we go. And I'm going to let that, I just want to get a little bit of an edge on here, and I'm going to try something. So I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber here. Come on, burnt umber. Come on out of there. This one always fights me a little bit. I'd give a little bit more water on there. There we go. And maybe a little bit of this cadmium orange. Is that, oh no, I'm sorry, azo orange. There we go. Good, good, good. And I'm going to just brush on a few colors here. And if I get a little bit of a run in here, I'm not going to worry about it too much. You know, I'm going to cross my fingers and tell you I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll probably worry about it. I won't tell you I'm going to worry about it though. That's what I'll do. I just won't tell you. The good thing is that I have my board slanted, so everything should run down a little bit. I might get a little bit on the side here, just like that. That's okay. I'm going to not let it bother me too much as I put some of this color on. Somebody said something, oh, Melissa is here. Yeah, it's been a while, but I did it. Oh, yeah, I saw your sail. You posted the sailboat in Discord, right, Terry? Looked better than mine. I was jealous. It looked fantastic. If that was you, it looked fantastic. I think it was you. All right, light colors here. We can always go over them with darker colors. I want to make sure I got light colors on here. I like how you're using one brush. Well, okay, so, you know, you guys have seen me, those of you who've been with me for a while, have seen me paint a lot tighter. Right? A lot tighter in some instances. And I've always said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, you know, a realist painter. I don't try to paint that way. It turns out that way. I will admit often that I paint in a realist-ish fashion. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I'm a big fan of the Impressionists and Impressionist painters. Andrea and I were actually talking about this last night over on Twitch. So I'm trying to loosen up in what I'm doing. And part of that loosening up is painting with a bigger brush for a longer amount of time. Right? If I paint with a bigger brush, I can't paint as fine of details. And as a result of not being able to paint as fine of details, I have to paint something other than those details. And hopefully what I paint is in a more impressionistic style. And this is not going to be, I don't know, this one's not going to be super impressionistic. Last night I approached it a little better than I'm probably going to get to tonight. It's got these paws up here. These two didn't happen to have anything on their stomachs. But these guys are all over here, and they're so adorable. Everybody has to line up along the shoreline to take pictures of the otters. Always makes me wonder if the sea lions get jealous or the seals get jealous. The darn otters are stealing the show. Everybody wants to see the otters. Actually, I think I'm just looking up here to see where my colors are going to go on this initial wash. The sea lions are just as happy to let everybody do whatever they want. They have their own dock. that they lay on, and they bark and bray and generally make all kinds of noise until all times of the morning. Let's see. I've had a major block this past couple of weeks. That's not good. That's not good. It's going to clear up. I'm going to send you some good vibes. Your block is going to clear right up. You're going to be able to paint better. Let me ask you, Melissa, let me ask you a question, seriously. And I should say, Sue, hello, and Fun Stuff, hello. I didn't mean to not welcome you into the studio this evening. How do you feel about your paintings before you start them? Because I have noticed, and this is why I've kind of switched to painting things that I have an affinity for, I have some kind of feeling for, but I can paint things I don't have that feeling for. But oftentimes, I'll paint them and I'll get halfway through or so, and I'll just be like, and kind of the chutzpah, the go is kind of gone, and my end product, I feel like it suffers a little bit, and I don't always get that if I'm painting something that I really have a feeling for, something that has touched me or my life in some way. So I'm curious, if you're painting for practice, you just want to paint, or if you're painting, and because you're pushing a little bit and trying to practice, is your body missing something? Telling you it's missing something. Okay, here's layer 1 done. I'm not going to paint their faces on layer 1. All right, and this is a nice layer, and now I can build from here. Oops, I'm a little off. There we go. I'm a little off. Nobody say anything about that comment. Is this Morro Bay? Yes, this is Morro Bay, California, on the Central Coast. It is. Let's see. I'm going to use a Da Vinci brush for this. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to start building in some of the water, right? The water isn't necessarily this blue. And we've got some nice places. Come on, loosen up. Loosen up. We've got some nice places on here that are a little darker. And I think we can get into them a little bit more. So I'm going to continue with my ultramarine blue. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of Payne's gray in there to darken that down a little bit. Let's see, maybe I'll throw a little of this orange in there and make our own gray. Ooh, look at that. That's a beautiful gray. Why haven't we been doing that? And now I can make that any shade I want. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, and I'm going to start down here. Right, and if this runs up this guy a little bit, then so be it. All right, I just want to get a little bit on here like this, and then I want to try and pull this down a little bit here. I should be able to do that without too much trouble. Oh, look at that. Right, because I know the reflection that's going to come here. This is the one problem I have with these brushes. I want to dry them out a little bit so I can feather this all the way out, and they don't want to do that. They just hold so much water. All right. Where's my wonderful gray here? Let's just keep a mixture of that going. Alan, you got your Martini brushes and you like them. shoot. Let me say, shoot. I always, that's the hardest part of recommending anything, is when somebody gets it and they don't like it. I'm heartbroken. I'm like, oh, I wish you hadn't listened to me. But if you like them, fantastic. They're nice brushes. I don't have any problem with those brushes, other than maybe they don't come to quite the point that some others do. But I don't know that necessarily is a huge deal. Or depending upon how you paint, some people don't always want to have that a fine line in there, right? I'm not using a fine point now. It all depends, but I've always found it to be adequate, at least. Okay, and I'm going to keep going with this up here, and I'm just trying to build up some of this color where I know there are some shadows in here. There might not really be a shadow there, but we're going to put one there. I just looked, that water goes way up there like that. And this for me is the fun part of watercolors. You get these little shadow areas in here, and I love painting graded washes. I always have. I probably always will. Right? I just like to put that little bit of color on right here. I know there's a shadow up here somewhere. Put that little bit of color on, however it goes. And then just pull it out. Just pull it. And let that paint come out and do what it does. It always just makes me happy to do that. They're a nice gradient off of there, and it looks fantastic. I'm gonna put some squiggles in our water up here. There's a little one here. A little one. Let's see. There's maybe couple here and there. I don't want this water to be that dark, which is why I painted it kind of light. But we got these light ripples in here from time to time. Right, we've got a couple of them down here too, and I want the ripples. We might actually get a few more ripples in here, but I want those. That's going to give our water all the texture that we need. But I don't want, again, I'm not a huge background guy, so I don't want a lot on this background to deflect from our main focus, right? Which are these sea otters, right? When you look at this, if your eye never noticed the water in here, I'd be totally fine with that. I would totally be fine with that. Wouldn't bother me one iota, but that's how I look at it. I want you to put all your focus, everything on the subject. In this case, in the sea otters. All right, and maybe this isn't the proper what am I trying to say? The time to do this, but I don't know that it matters, right? We got to do this anyways. Oh man, I don't know. Sometimes I feel great, and sometimes stressed, or sometimes I stress it's not going to be good enough. Been off. Ooh. Gold says I actually went to my first actual art store today. A 60% summer sale. Wow. That's great. And Alan, you said yours came with fantastic points. That's good. They look cute. Wow, if you can get a 60% off sale, that's great. I need to get to a 60% off sale. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, right, I'm going to avoid their head for just a minute. Right, I'm going to drop down to a brush that has a better point. That's something I can control a little bit more. And I'm going to make a brown that has more brown in it. I'm going to move over to my sepia over here, which it looks like I may need to refill. And this paint should be starting to dry a little bit. And what I want to do at this point is start to go around some of these shapes and detail some of these because we really need to start defining what we have here and getting some of the areas set aside. Right, we got to know where the feet are. When we want to paint the feet, we need to know where the rolls are in his fat. We need to know all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to kind of start to do that. Let's see. Oh, you're going to order another set of those brushes for your sister? Wow. That's fantastic. I'm glad I'm glad you like them. Really. I'm always like, what if nobody likes the brushes I like? And I've said they're good brushes. It's not gonna end well. I'm so happy that it has worked out for you. Watch this. I'm going to just get a little bit of just even this pure sepia right in here. There's a really wet line on this guy's tail right here. Right, the whole thing is going to be darker, but I just want to make sure we get this so it starts to look, start to build up some roundness on this tail here. Right, I'm just trying to tease that color out so it doesn't look like I just went shoot with a line on here, even though I did. But it doesn't need to look like that. Let's make sure we got a nice big puddle of paint over there. And let's see, his foot comes around to here, and here. Yes. Right, okay, that's where his foot comes around to. Oh, I got some water. I wasn't paying attention. I painted over some water here. Well, that's okay. Right here, this should have been water right there. Nobody even mentioned it to me. That's okay. That's okay. In the end, it's probably not going to matter at all. Because, you know why? It's an otter, and the otter's in the water. And otters in the water can look pretty much like whatever we want them to look like. Yeah, yes, I'm going to move this around a little bit here and there. Right, until we get this just how we want. Okay, so I've kind of painted around two of the feet here, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. All right. And underneath this arm, can we really even see that arm? Not much. That's okay. We'll just bring this down like this. And I know it's really dark up here underneath his chin. really dark up under here. Uh-oh. Didn't it look like it just started to get dark in here? I heard my light click off. It's on a motion sensor, so I must not have moved enough. I'm gonna have to get up and jump around or dance around or something to get my lights to come back on. Nah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Nobody wants to see that. That would not be any fun. All right, there's part of this guy. He's starting to look like, he's kind of starting to look like he's got something. Oh man, everybody's been, she tried yours and wanted to keep them. That's funny. Does anyone know of any good travel brushes? Alan says you use Da Vinci Consejo or Casano. However you say that. I have one travel brush. I have one. Literally, I have one travel brush. It's a Maritini brush. I normally put mine in a pack. I pack them up. If you guys saw my little studio tour from a couple of weeks ago, I think I brought out the little packs that I tote them around in. You got a foot that kind of comes up here a little bit. I don't know, something like this. Have to make a decision on here and just go with it. Whether it's right or wrong, we're going to kind of go with it. And then over here, this can get blended all the way up, or mostly all the way up. And I want to leave a little room because I want it to be a little lighter on this top side where I'm at, up here. Because I'm going to put some dark behind it to set that area off behind it. And I want to put light next to dark, light next to dark. I feel like I'm speeding up here. Does it look like I'm like doing some speed painting? For some reason, it feels like I'm really trying to fly through this, and I don't want to fly through this. I'm happy to take my time on this. What else can I talk about? Have I given a Penny update in a while? Everybody knows about Penny. Penny is the cat I am fostering during these crazy times. And I am... Okay, you guys are talking about brushes that I don't know about. I'll give you the Penny update. Well, I'll give you the Penny history for anybody who doesn't know Penny. Penny is a cat that came from the Humane Society up the coast a little bit. And she was a troubled cat, not because she's any trouble. She's actually super cute. But she has a few medical issues, and in addition to that, she's scared of almost everything. She really is. So because she's got these medical conditions, which she's got to take some medication every day, and because she has been placed into other houses, other homes before, and every time she's done it, she's just gone and hid and never come out, and then nobody can ever give her medication. Nobody can ever find out what kind of a cat she is. She's not had an easy life. Let's just say it that way. She's almost 6, and she spent her whole life inside of the Humane Society. And my wife, for good or for bad, take it however you want, my wife told them, oh yeah, well, yeah, we'll be happy to foster a cat. My husband is the cat whisperer. Oh, great. That's nothing to live, to try to live up to. Yeah, sure, why not? So Penny came to me in late March, maybe very early April. I painted a little bit on his face. I didn't want to paint. Oh, that's okay. Maybe early April. And she's scared of everything. She really is. She immediately hid under the bed and wouldn't come out. So I blocked up the bed so she couldn't get underneath the bed. I will say she's never had a problem taking her medication. She's always been good with that. I suspect that's because she's been taking it for 5 years and never had an opportunity not to take it. And she, I'll just say it took her about a good month to be comfortable just being out in a room with me without trying to run away or anything like that. And now she's not like that anymore. She's very friendly and outgoing. She's still skittish. She's not going to get over that in a month or so, a couple of months. So she's still skittish. Anytime there's a noise, she hops up. Go, what's going on? She doesn't try to hide underneath anything anymore, though. But she'll go and she'll run in a closet or something like that. Oh, Jacqueline, welcome. I'm just telling stories about my foster cat. So, anyways, she's gotten so much better. I'll go in from this stream. This is just an example. I'll go in from this stream, get ready for bed, and she'll hear my electric toothbrush. And as soon as she hears my electric toothbrush, then she runs over and jumps on the bed and lays down right next to my pillow and waits for me and yaps her full head off. Meow, 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 meow. Waiting for me, and then she lays down next to me and sleeps on the bed next to me, right next to my head. Take that for what it's worth, for good or for bad. But the good news for Penny is that we have officially signed our adoption paperwork. So for good or for bad, we're keeping Penny. Yeah, we're one cat richer in my household. Okay. So what do I have now? Now's a good time to stop and assess where we are at. And I'm kind of liking where we're at. We have, congrats, thank you. We've kind of got some otters. You can see a little bit of the definition here on some of them. I went around and made it dark around their faces. This little bit here, we'll have to deal with. That shouldn't have been brown, but this is a hand that we'll get to in just a second. And I think, I don't know. I'm looking at the reflections here. The reflections need to be a little bit more. I think what I want to do is wait on those a little bit. what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a little bit of yellow ochre here. Yes, yellow ochre. I don't know why we always use yellow ochre for everything. Yellow ochre makes its way into every painting anybody ever does. It really does. I haven't quite figured out why that is. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to put this on like this. I can go over the nose. The nose is going to be black, so I can paint over the nose. Let's get his whole head in here. And of course, I'm hoping, and it should, that this is going to dry lighter than this. See, I can go over the eye. I'm going to pull a little bit of this color out in just a second, but I can go over his eye, over his ear, down to all these spots. If I get a little mixing of these colors down here, because this darker brown, the sepia, should be a little bit wet, I'm not going to worry about it, because that's going to end up being more, just more, what am I trying to say? More, I was going to say camouflage, but whatever. More texture, more something. I'm starting to lose it already. Come on, it's not even 9 o'clock. Make this a little darker in here. Maybe a little more of the true ochre. I'm just trying to drop in a little bit of this color on this guy's face where I really want it. And I'm going to come back and do the majority of his head here a little bit later. But while this is still dry, I'm going to pull out a little bit of the color around his eye. And he's got a little white spot up here that I'll just pull off. We'll call that good. And I'm going to give kind of the same treatment to this other one over here. You like sunshine painting? They need a spot to hide. If she wants to hide, let her hide, or let her find a base camp. She does. She's got plenty of places. The only thing I don't want her to do is hide in a place that she's unfindable. But she goes in the closet and lays on some of my clothes in the closet, which is fine. There's a little nightstand that has a lamp on it, and she goes and lays underneath that, and I don't bother her when she goes under there. She does have Penny has a number of places she can get to and hide. I just don't want her to hide in a place that she's not able to be found or doesn't have access, because that is not that's no bueno. So I discouraged that a little bit. But she's got plenty of places she can actually get away. I'm not stopping her from having a place where she can get away from me or anything else in that room. And she comes right out when you call her. I don't know. But I didn't let her. The thing I didn't let her do, the thing I've never let any of my cats do, is not be social. All right, I know everybody's going to be upset, but not be social. You have to be social. You have to come out and say hi. You can go back to wherever you're at, but yeah, you have to come out and say hi. You have to be accessible. And she does that. She's totally fine. Let's see. Oh no. You had your cats cremated. Oh yeah. Taking a vet. My last cat. Let's see. I had a good one. He was probably the size of a watermelon. My last cat is buried in the backyard here, next to where my dog is buried. And I promised my cat, they were both getting older at about the same time. I promised my cat that when I buried the dog next to her, I would face her a different direction so that she just wouldn't bark at her all in their afterlife. And so I did so. I said some kind words about my poor little Gracie. And unfortunately, had to let her be. But now I know exactly where she's at, and I can always go and talk to her when I want to. And my dog Lulu is there too. Lulu was a great dog. We got Lulu. I'll tell you my dog story. Lulu was great. Lulu came to us via the Humane Society also, and she was a pug, and I never had a pug, never wanted a pug, but she was so adorable that we couldn't help but adopt her. And she, give me some of this warm color in here. She had been she'd been the dog of a senior who obviously had passed, and the rest of the family didn't know what to do with the dog or didn't want the dog. And so we got her, and she was older. She was already trained and everything, and worked out great for our family. But as she started losing her eyesight, she started barking at everything. I mean, everything. Oh my God. Everything. Anything that moved, anything that she could see. The cats were funny. The cats were so funny because Lulu would start to bark at him, and she'd run right over to him and start barking. And the cats would just sit still. And all of a sudden, Lulu would start looking around like, are they here? Where did they go? I don't see them. It's so funny. I don't know where they're at. And then she'd quit barking and turn around and go back and lay down in a chair or whatever. And then, the cats could carry on and do whatever they were doing. The cats had her figured out. Oh my God, that was so hysterical. Once I realized what they were doing, I'm like, oh, you guys, come on. She's an old dog. It's so funny. I just gotta, I don't want a hard edge right here, and I'm afraid that that's gonna run back in. We'll get to that. We'll get to the rest. Well, no, let's do that tail right now. Let's get the rest. Let's get the rest of that tail in there right now. And I've just got a big pool here. You can see I'm just playing around with these colors. I've got some darker colors. Get a little bit of water off of there. Got some darker colors. That dark that's in the corner there, that's Winsor & Newton Ivory Black, a color I've come to very much enjoy. And then the other colors that I'm using up here in the corner, I've got sepia here. This is neutral tint and Payne's gray over there. If you're keeping track at home, I should ask, does anybody want to see what all these colors are? I've got them. I've got them here on a scroll. I can set them to going. We had some tough fosters completely feral. Oh, they hid for months. Oh, I couldn't. No. I couldn't let Penny hide for a day because she needed her medication. But if you're fostering pets, God bless you. I mean, 'Cause we think we have it tough. But pets, and they can't always fend for themselves. So if you're helping pets out, God bless you. Thank you. And pets really make our life fun. I mean, come on. Come on, they do. All right, I'm going to make a reddish color here. A little bit of this maroon perylene, a little bit of this burnt umber, right? And the fur on this foot tipper. I mean, I know it's a foot, but I guess it's a foot. They walk on it. A webbed foot. Has this reddish orange tint to it. So before I do too much else, I want to get that tint on there. And then I'll be able to do all this other stuff. But there, I'll blend these colors together when that dries up a little bit. Ah, they're starting to look like otters. Look, and every week I go, I'm going to do this in an hour. I can do this in 1 hour. This will be no problem. And look where we're at already. We're almost at an hour. How does that happen like that? Time just flies. It goes so fast. I don't know where it goes to. Let me mix a little bit of this black in here. I want the super dark down here. Down onto that tail. Something like that. And over onto this side. Actually, give me a little bit more of this stuff in here. I want to see, there's a little bit of a, I want to make a little bit of a mark right there. Then I'm going to blend this out. It would beat you to the door. Yes, I don't know why, I have a really soft spot in my heart for cats. I don't know why cats more than dogs, although I like dogs too. I guess I always did have cats at the house growing up. I guess that helps quite a bit. Let's see, this has got to come over to there or something like that. And then there's a little foot that sticks up over there. I love my cats. They're fantastic. Even Josie, who I probably have never talked about. Jellybean knows how to play catch. Jellybean's your cat. Wow. We'll throw Nerf balls, and she'll chase them or bring them back. Wow. Now that's a cat. I actually had a big black cat named Wolfgang back when I was in college, and he would fetch bottle caps. I don't know why. He wouldn't fetch anything else. Never really cared about anything else. But he was pretty funny. He would fetch bottle caps. Boy, he was a big guy too. Big cat. Like, his forearms were, like, huge. I mean, they were, I don't know, like, almost 3 inches in diameter. He was a huge cat. He was funny. He was another funny one. I liked him a lot. I traded him. I shouldn't say that. I traded him. I traded a cat to my mother for a different cat. She had a cat that was always afraid of everything. Her name was Sooks. Sooks was fantastic. Sooks was so great. But Sooks would always hide under the bed. And I was like, Sooks, not going to happen. Every time I'd go over, not going to happen, Sooks, sorry. I'd go under the bed, and I'd grab her, I'd pull her out, and I'd put her on my lap and pet her. When she was on your lap, she was great. She's a very gentle cat. But, you know, my mother would never do that. And so eventually, it just got to be that when I would come over to the house, Sooks would she wouldn't go under the bed anymore. She just came and jumped right on my lap. The weight of Wolfie, holy cow, Wolfie was probably 25, 28 pounds. He was tall, really tall. It's just big everywhere, just gargantuan. I didn't feed him anything different. He just grew up big. Well, he always had science diet. That was what he ate, science diet. But he was a big guy. But so my mother, why did she need to change cats? I think she was going to start traveling. Her husband retired, and she was going to start traveling, I think. And Wolfie for me was always a good traveling cat. I always wanted him to be somewhere, you know, with me. So I would just pack him up and take him with me. We'd go on adventures together. And I don't know if he liked it, but he certainly never minded. And Sooks was never going to be a travel cat. Sooks could not make it to the vet, I don't think. She was terrified of so much. And so my mother was like, can we just switch cats? I need a cat that can travel with me. Oh, yeah, sure, let's switch. And then, and then my I guess it was my girlfriend, soon to be fiance, eventually to be my wife, met Sooks and absolutely fell in love with her because she was so funny. I got her the funniest thing about her. This is so weird. The funniest thing about Sooks was I got her a toy mouse for Christmas. It was marketed as a mouseltoe. All right, okay, a mouseltoe. Right, it's a little felt mouse with some catnip stuffed in it and a mistletoe piece of felt glued to the tail. All right, that's Sooks's mouseltoe. Boy, and she carried that thing around for 3 years. She would bring it with her everywhere. And when she carried it, she made this horrible rumble. It was just, it was so, it sounded painful to listen to. I'm like, Sooks, are you going to be okay? I'm like, oh my God. And she loved that thing. Like I said, she carried it everywhere. I remember pulling it out of her water dish sometimes because she'd carry it over to the water dish and then, whoops, leave it in there. And all of a sudden she's got this mouseletoe in the water dish. And I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? Why can't you keep this with you? She didn't care. I'd pull it out of there, dry it out, give it back to her. She'd carry it around everywhere else. Oh my God, she was so funny. Oh, look at my cat stories. I love my cats. They're so great. And then, unfortunately, Sooks was old. Sooks was another rescue cat, and she was old. She was about 18,000 years old. this is the worst part of it. The whole Sook story. The day before my wedding, we had to have her put to sleep. The day before our wedding. Oh, I was like, oh, Sooks. Was hoping you were going to hang on. But it wasn't to be. But Sooks, you were fantastic. She was so old. All right, there's an arm. There's got 2 arms on this guy now. You bought 50 Nerf balls for the kids for Christmas, and you threw it in the kitchen and started chasing it. Perfect. They probably loved it. I mean, the kids and the cat, really. Probably loved it. All right, are we getting somewhere with this one? We're kind of getting somewhere. This is okay. This needs some work over here. These feet need a little work over here. Let's see what we can do. Over here. All right, this is supposed to be a show about watercolors, not reliving past pet memories. I mean, I'm okay if it goes in that direction, but it's supposed to be all about watercolors. Oh, it's the stories of our life that make everything fun, make everything worthwhile. And I think in this time, it's probably just as important to share stories as it is to do anything else. So let's have a little camaraderie. Uh-oh. I have 2 little long-haired Havanese dogs. One's a sleepyhead. One's a sleepyhead. That's my Josie cat. Oh, man, you talk about the COVID-15? Boy, oh boy, I don't know how much weight she's put on. But in cat pounds, it's gotta be 15. Oh. Like Josephine, come on, what's going on? All right, so you know what I'm noticing here? And nobody said anything to me. Probably because I'm the one painting it. Is that I've gone away from this quick kind of more impressionist style. And I've gone back to what I normally do, which is try to paint some details here and some details there and do this and that. And that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I really wanted to do something a little different, and I'm not being able to do that. I'm not complaining about it. It's just an observation. It's just an observation. I guess that all that proves, or all that means, is making a transition from one style to another style is not an easy thing to do. But I had a vision on how I wanted to see this painted, and I'm not far from it. I noticed as I was starting to do this guy over here that I really started to stray away from that. I'm okay with it to some extent, but I do want to continue to try to loosen up a little bit and do things in a little looser style. All I'm doing now is filling in layers of brown. Right? Well, that doesn't help anybody. I mean, it's going to make them look good. It doesn't advance what we're doing too much. I'm going to leave that a little bit lighter there, and I'll put a little bit darker down here. Right around that foot. There we go. There. Right, and I hope some lights and some darks in through here are going to help us a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a bit heavy in some places on this, and I didn't mean to do that. How many cats do I have? Right now I have 3 cats. I have 3. I have Shadow, who's black. I have Penny, who's black, and I have Josie, who's calico. And they're each fantastic in kind of their own way. Josie, because she likes me. She doesn't like anybody else. She only likes me. But I picked her out at the shelter, so I kind of get some of that. And Shadow, super lovable. A little pointy, but super lovable nonetheless. And Penny, who is just turning out to be her own personality. Super sweet, purrs a lot, but still a little standoffish, but very super sweet. Super sweet. I had 3 at once. The largest was 22 pounds. Wow. Was void of pigment and born deaf. His name was Beethoven. When Pharaoh, the tuxedo was Mr. Bibbs. It remains. So I know you typically. Oh, look, Terry's actually got a painting question or comment. I typically paint smaller works. What's the largest I paint? I typically paint smaller works so that I can get them done in a reasonable amount of time. I think the largest I've painted is 16 by 22. Something like 16 I think 16 by 22 is right. I've got that 24 by 36 paper that I'm going to find something to do with it. I'm going to paint with it. I am. Whether it kills me or not, I'm going to paint with that that 24 by 36 paper. It's just going to happen. I don't know how I would do it and do a live stream of it, but you would definitely be able to see it on Instagram and whatnot, because I would definitely post things there. But in general, Terry, and I think this is a great question, because I went through a period of not knowing, should I paint bigger? Should I paint smaller? What if I paint bigger? Is it harder? How do I do this? How do I do that? And the answer is, for me, I don't know if it's that same for everybody, but painting bigger is definitely painting harder. It takes more of everything. You've got to be on top of your water, right? You got to control the paint in the water so much more. You need to have a good plan on what you're doing before you do any of it. It's just more. I suspect that it's like anything else. Right? The more you do it, the easier it's actually going to get. But I haven't done it yet. see, this guy you can see underneath his mouth here. I'm going to paint that in. This might be a bit of a large brush for this. Maybe. Let's see, I'm going to get his nose. I'm going to paint some, I think there's just enough room. I'm going to paint some fur on the brown areas here. And a little bit more. We're actually a lot closer maybe than you might have thought. I am going to adjust the color here in the water a little bit. You buy your paper full size. Wow. Jacqueline's never tried quarter or half sheets. It is hard. I've never completed it in situ. Let's see, let me get a little smaller brush here and go into this. Yeah, it's, you know, you can go from a smaller painting to like a medium-sized painting, and it probably is not that big of a deal. But I'd be willing to bet you that when you get up to a larger size, right, anything over a foot definitely in length, it's going to be harder right away. It's just the bigger it gets, the more on top of everything you've got to be. You've got to stay on top. You can't have, there's no room for taking a break, or I guess you can take a break, but you got to know where you're going to take a break at. You've got to you just have to have a plan to get your stuff done, is really all you need to do, and you need to stick with that plan for good or for bad, I think, for better or for worse. Come on, this is why come on. This is why I don't use smaller brushes, because I never get my water level right on these. Come on, let's get your eye in here. I'd rather paint his eye in all the way, and then go back with a white. To get the highlight in there. It's just a little easier, I think. It's got a little nostril in there. Yeah, now we got a little face on there. He looks a little bit better. Yeah, you get the full size and then rip them down. That's what this is actually from, a full size sheet that's been ripped down. And I couldn't tell you exactly the ways this has been ripped down. It was a long time ago, but I know that that's how this was done. All right, give me what size is this? Is this the one I used? Yeah, it's still wet. Okay, so good. Size 3, right? Size 3 brush here. Good brush. Let's keep making our own gray here. This turned out so nicely. And let's give them a little bigger shadow in here, a little more pronounced shadow on the water here. I'm gonna keep going till I run out of paint. All right, and at this point, I'm going to blend this out. Come on, brush. Work with me. Blend this out a little bit. To make them look a little bit more something. A little bit more something. That's great. What a great instructor. It's going to make them look a little bit more something. Might help to make them look a little more planted in the water here. I hope. Can come out there a little bit. And then we do have maybe a little bit of work to do on the water itself. Not that much. We're so close. So close. I like, so many people say when you're making a shadow, you put blue on your shadow. I know I've talked about shadows on here quite a bit. I'm not the biggest fan of just dropping in a blue for a shadow, but I'm like, what do you do on the water? You can't drop blue on there for a shadow on the water, can you? I don't know, maybe you can. I get a little too much up here, I get a little back run that I don't want. Let's just go right back over that. Have I completely lost everybody now? Oh, I'm looking up there. Actually, it's looking pretty good. Jacqueline, any recommendations? I use Logan. Jacqueline, does anyone cut their own mat? Oh, God. I don't cut my own mat. I buy mine from Golden State Art Supplies. They're really reasonable. But I will admit there are times when I do wish I had mats of a particular size. Oh, come on, come on. That was too wet in here. I just got to drop a little bit of color back in here to get that line out. Oh, shadows, you're the bane of my existence. Does anybody else have a problem with shadows? Or just me? Shadows are another one of those things I just go, do I really need them? Is a shadow going to add a whole lot to my painting? I never know. It never seems all that important to me. I know it's an important thing. It helps to set everything off. But I'm like, oh, there's so many other things I'd rather be painting than a shadow. So many things. All right, look. But look at what we have. Look at what we end with. It's looking great. It really is looking pretty good. There were a couple of minutes in there. It was a little dubious. Couple of minutes where I went, we're going to pull this off. And the answer was a resounding, I don't know. But now this is too light, too too light. So I'm just going to quickly glaze over, and I mean quickly, a little bit of blue. I don't need to dip it back in the water. I can just go straight over. There probably should be a dark shadow right there. Oh, that paintbrush carries so much paint. And yes, I think you're right. There should be a darker area right back just underneath there. Maybe let's give him one right there too. That can pull and blend out however it wants. Oh, look! Come on, they're looking great. They are looking great. I just noticed. I'm gonna continue to monkey with this just a little bit. I meant to give his whole face here another little bit of color, and I didn't do that. This guy over here too. Right, their faces are a little bit more brown than this. I guess that's part of the whole process, right? Is you see it and you reevaluate, and then you see it, you reevaluate a little bit, and you see it and you reevaluate a little bit. That's part of it. And now I've got to wait for just a second because that's going to dry. And I know I have to wait for a second. That's totally wet. Grab another paper towel. I have to wait just another little second because I know that I've got a few whiskers to draw on here. A couple of whiskers here and there. But I think while I'm waiting for that, I was going to draw some more in the water. You know what? I don't think I'm going to draw any more in the water. The water's, you know what? The water's mostly still today. The picture shows it. Where's the picture? The picture shows it pretty still. So I've got these couple little ripples on here. I'll just leave it at that. We'll call it good. And I've got this really small, this is a Princeton Select liner brush number 1. And I'm going to grab some white here. Because most of where I'm going to be doing this is pretty dry. I don't want the stark white of this, right? My liner pen. I think it's going to be just a little too much. But I think I'll be able to pull this off with a few whiskers. Just a few here and there. White, white, white. Don't need much. Don't need much, and that's all you're going to get. I really didn't add. I mean, it added, I can see it here. Right? You can see the white whiskers, but it's not super amount of white whiskers. And I think that's where I'm going to leave this one. I kind of like these guys. Laying in the water. Like I don't do a lot of animals. And I'm trying to do this a little differently. than I would normally do my paintings. This one I did yesterday over on Twitch, and you can see this is in a much different style than I would normally do, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a nice painting, and I'm going to try to do some more in that style. But this was a nice little one for me to do, and with that, I'm going to call this about done. And I hope that you all have enjoyed spending an hour with me. I've enjoyed spending an hour, almost an hour and a half with you all. I'm sorry I can't always get to, I have them over there, the comments. I try to look up to see them, and I've only got a small window where the comments are, so sometimes they go past and I don't get them. If I missed something from somebody, I apologize about that, but that's all I've got for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed you all being here. I'll be back here on YouTube next Wednesday with another painting live. I'm hoping to put out a video on Saturday morning, a regular video. Cross your fingers. I hope it'll be Saturday morning. And I will be on Twitch for certain Monday and Tuesday next week, 8 Pacific. Everything is 8 Pacific. Until then, I hope to see you at one of those times, or both of those times, or both of those places, I guess is a better way to say it. Until then, thank you all so much for joining me in the studio. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.